Ladies and gentlemen, if the last 24 hours of price action on Bitcoin has not been a testament to how fragile the market is right now, going into the ETF decisions in just a couple of days, I don't know what is. Matrix Port released an article, just 300 words, just a few paragraphs, saying the ETFs will be declined, and the market dropped 10% in 2 hours, wiping out $700 million in liquidations and flipping funding rates back to neutral. Insane price action. Unpredictable by every sense of the word, and this really sums up where we are in the market right now. So the question is, in this fragile market, in this ridiculously unpredictable market, what are we meant to be doing? How can we position ourselves the best to make the most of this situation, or at least conserve ourselves the most out of this situation and make it through the other side? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the video. Guys, Bitcoin, for lack of a better word, has seen an absolute collapse to the downside, or it did at least in a very short period of time. We've recovered quite significantly at the moment, but that drop was real. And if you were here yesterday, if you're looking at the charts yesterday, we'll look at the 15-minute chart and show you what actually happened. You can see that over the period of about 2 hours, we saw a drop of in excess of 10%. On some exchanges, it reached 12%. If we're measuring from the peak yesterday, we've got an 11.5% drop on Bitcoin in a very, very short period of time. Now, this came as a shock to a lot of market participants, and this reflects a narrative that I've repeated over and over again. The fact of the matter is, the TA, the technical analysis, is not at the forefront of the movements of Bitcoin's price action right now. That's the reality. It hasn't been for a little while. It hasn't been specifically since, I'd say, mid-October, late October, since this ETF narrative has been ramping up more and more. We've got the ETF decision in basically, it could be tomorrow, to be honest, but it could be as late as January 10th. That's an approval or denial of the ETF finally coming to a T there. But what actually happened yesterday, right? And today, in today's video, I'm going to be getting into the media, okay? And this is probably something you're very well aware of right now, but just the sheer quantity of misinformation going around in the media, the sheer quantity of contradictory statements coming from different platforms, different articles, so be it. So basically this drop yesterday occurred at the release of a Matrix Port article about why they believe that the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETFs. An article by Matrix Port, right, has been released. And upon the release of this article, just an article here, just a few paragraphs, less than 300 words probably, you see the price of Bitcoin drop 10% in less than 2 hours, and specifically, most of that drop coming in the period of like 30 minutes. And you see, not only that, right, but $500 million in liquidations across the cryptocurrency market. As you can see on this heat map right here, we have not seen this level of liquidations throughout all of the recorded price history on this particular website. And you can see as of right now, January 3rd, $591 million of liquidations of longs and $93 million of liquidations of shorts, making up nearly $700 million of liquidations. That's absolutely insane. You don't see that very often. As you can see on this particular website right here, we've got since October 7th of data, and we haven't really reached anywhere close to that level of liquidations. The closest we came was on December 11th. And that was, almost a month ago now. But other than that, and that didn't even reach close to it, right? That was just over half. Other than that, nothing even coming close to it. Huge level of liquidations yesterday. We have the Bitcoin funding rate, the cryptocurrency funding rates across all exchanges resetting to neutral for the most part. So actually, it's quite interesting, right? Before we get into the articles themselves, I was obviously calling for a big correction, and I still kind of am, but what I will say is this has acted as a correction in a sense because we've flushed out the entire market. We've flushed out all the apes who are aping into ridiculously late longs, and we've got completely neutral funding rates now. These funding rates were obscenely bearish the other day, and we've seen a flush out that happened as predicted, although the speed of it was not, I suppose, as predicted, but we were expecting a liquidation event to occur. It did occur. These funding rates have reset back to neutral, and so the market actually, having seen that correction, is in a bit of a healthier spot. That might sound ridiculous, but it really is. But look, we'll discuss the market itself, whether it's bullish or bearish, after we get into the articles. I think the articles are very much worth getting into. As we said, Matrix Port released this article saying the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETF applications. There was no real evidence provided in the article whatsoever, just kind of an opinion. And even in the article where they provided this opinion, they said themselves that even if the SEC denies the Bitcoin ETF application, they still think this year is going to be bullish for Bitcoin. They still think this year is going to end higher than where it started at 42K. So this just goes to show how much degeneracy is in the cryptocurrency market right now based on this ETF stuff. I mean, honestly, it's ridiculously degenerate. The market And the market environment we're seeing right now is nothing short of a circus. That's the simple reality. A massive climb on Bitcoin. 3.5 months of upwards price action, moving upwards 85% without any correction whatsoever. In fact, it's the longest period of time since 2011, right, that we've seen no drawdown of 25% plus. I'll say that again. We have not seen a drawdown of 25% or more for the longest time on Bitcoin's history since 2011, when Bitcoin was infantile pre its first halving. That just goes to show right there. If that doesn't tell you that Bitcoin is in a ridiculous uptrend based on anything but technical analysis, I don't know what will. This move to the upside has been driven by the ETF narrative and the ETF narrative alone, and as soon as a hole is poked in the ETF narrative, it all comes crumbling down. That just goes to show you, right? We've got this article releasing, poking a hole in the ETF narrative, not even confirmed, not even any real data information, just an opinion by Matrix Port. And as soon as that releases, we see a crash of massive quantities, a 10% crash in a very, very short period of time. It just shows you how fragile the market is right now based on these ETF narratives and how much of a gamble it is to be overly staked in longs or shorts. Now, I've got a long-term bag on Bitcoin, right? We bought long-term bags on Bitcoin down starting at 17K, right? We bought at 17K, 18K, 21K, 24K, and 32K. We have not bought since 32K. We're still holding our bags from those period of times. We've got a very good average price on Bitcoin, right? But I do not recommend, well, look, I can't say recommend, right? But I personally am not buying Bitcoin right now. No way am I buying Bitcoin at potentially the top, or close to the top at least. We could reach 48K, as we've discussed before, of a huge rally to the upside, an 85% move to the upside with no significant correction. It's ridiculous to buy Bitcoin right now. All right, that's just not what you should be doing, in my opinion at least, right? I'm not here to give you financial advice. I'm just here to share my opinion. I think if you have any trust in charts whatsoever, even though the charts right now aren't at the forefront of Bitcoin's move, I still think you need to be logical in that regard and not let your emotions drive you into a decision, right? You've had so many opportunities in the past to buy Bitcoin, and you decide to do it at the peak of a rally when very clearly, or close to the peak of a rally, when very clearly even the smallest thing, like a random article from Matrix Port with a few paragraphs of information, can drop Bitcoin 10% in 2 hours. I think that's a very good indication that you're buying into greed, okay? I don't know what else is. Now, getting further into the articles, okay, I also want to make something very clear, and I want you to stick around to the end of the video because there's lots of nuances with this argument to be made, right? But I want to make something very clear. Matrix Port, and this just goes to show how little you can trust these articles, little you can trust the media in general. Matrix Port released this article saying they think they're going to see a rejection of the Bitcoin spot ETFs just 12 hours before they released this article. They were saying that Bitcoin could hit 50K by the weekend, right? Look at the manipulation. It's right in front of your eyes. I don't know how clear you want it to be. They released an article that tanked Bitcoin in price 10% in less than 2 hours, saying that the SEC will reject the Bitcoin spot ETF applications, and just 12 hours before they released that article, they were bullish on Bitcoin, saying it could hit 50K by the weekend. You literally cannot make this stuff up. You've also got Jim Cramer, right? This guy, this absolute, I'm not going to say anything, but this guy who is very popular in the cryptocurrency space right now as a meme on CNBC Finance, who essentially has been bearish on Bitcoin for the longest time, and he finally flips bullish on Bitcoin. Jim Cramer capitulates on crypto. Let me go back to that article. Jim Cramer capitulates on crypto amid Bitcoin price rally. You can't kill Bitcoin. He finally flips bullish on Bitcoin after the longest period of time, and within hours of him flipping bullish on Bitcoin, you see this article released, and you see the price drop 10% in hours, right? I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. You can't make this stuff up. Just ridiculous levels of clown circus behavior going on in the media and the Bitcoin price right now. I'm so excited. You have no idea how excited I am for this ETF stuff to be over. It has been nothing but a plague on the Bitcoin charts, and the last 24 hours really reflects that quite well. Bloomberg saying nothing to indicate spot ETF rejections. In wake of that Matrix Port article, Bloomberg comes out and says, no, there's no reason to believe the spot ETF application is going to be rejected. You've also got Fidelity releasing a new advertisement for their Bitcoin spot ETF, an advertisement for Bitcoin on cable TV. You just got so much conflicting information coming out of these media companies. It's just absolutely obscene. There's no way you could possibly find any degree of reliable information and find any degree of guidance in the situation. All you can do is accept the reality. The reality is Bitcoin is very, very inflated right now. from a charting perspective, it could continue to go upwards to something like 48k. Who knows at this point? When you have the charts acting so irrationally, it's very hard to predict when they will stop acting irrationally. But I think it's very clear right now. In fact, it's abundantly clear. In fact, I would say it's objectively true that the charts acting irrationally is a direct result of this ETF narrative. And when this ETF narrative comes to an end, in just probably 1 to 5 days, right, between the 5th of January and the 10th of January, we will finally see rationality return to the price. So not long now until we can start making actual concrete predictions on Bitcoin price again. As of right now, unfortunately, it's just very hard to do. That's the simple fact. You could say, for example, we have something like an ascending channel formation forming. It's very clear that we have many patterns of exhaustion. For example, bearish divergence in the RSI, things like that. Volume descending in its upwards trend for months now. It's very clear there's exhaustion on the price chart. Exhaustion is showing everywhere. But the problem with patterns of exhaustion is patterns of exhaustion are not reversal indicators. They're simply indicators that the price will eventually reverse. And the problem is the market can stay irrational for a very long period of time, especially when you have irrational narratives built into the price action. Now, look, I'll say something very clear. I know I'm not making very concrete predictions today because I simply don't think it's possible. But look, what I'll say is this. You certainly shouldn't be trusting any specific company or article coming out about this ETF narrative. You certainly should be looking at the data itself. The data says that Bitcoin is in a ridiculously unsustainable uptrend. And when this ETF narrative releases, there's no guarantee that an approval of the ETF will lead to a further pump on Bitcoin. There's no guarantee of that at all. Okay, I want to make that very clear. There's no guarantee that the ETF release or the ETF approval will lead to a pump to Bitcoin immediately in the short term up to 60k or whatever people are predicting. That's just not guaranteed in the slightest. Just because people say it doesn't make it true. This could very well be a sell the news event. All right. Now, I will admit that the funding rates have been reset. This drop actually was good for the Bitcoin price action fundamentally. We needed to see a flush out. And Bitcoin does look healthier than it did yesterday, even though the price and the chart itself looks ridiculous. I will admit that. And I will admit that the chances of a bullish ETF release have probably increased gradually over the last 24 hours with this flush out. But I don't think at all there's any proof that the ETF release is guaranteed to be a bullish event at all. It could very well be a sell the news event. And so I think that you'd either be best suited to sit on the sidelines, and by that I mean on short term, right? Your long-term bags will still be intact, of course, but sit on the sidelines in short and medium term, or, at the very least, use very, very tight risk management, right? I'm talking stop losses that are very, very tight. So you can try and reap the rewards, but at the same time minimize your risk very massively. But the problem with releases like this that we're going to be seeing over the next, week or so with ETFs, right? Potentially 10th of January, potentially even tomorrow, the next day. The problem is you see the price jump up, down, up, down. So you get all the liquidations in one go. And then only after an hour or so, the price will make a genuine directional move. So it's just going to be probably a ridiculous clown fiesta. Look, that's the way I see it. But we'll see what happens. It's very hard to tell. As I said, I can't make any predictions on it. I just want people to know that it's not guaranteed to be bullish by any means, no matter what people tell you. It's also not guaranteed to be bearish, right? So there's conflicting data on all fronts, but the only data we have is that Bitcoin is in a ridiculously strong uptrend, and this uptrend is unsustainable. That's the only data we have. That's the facts, okay? But, again, upon this 24-hour period, we've seen everything get back-tested, funding rates reset, Ethereum test support, total cryptocurrency market cap test support. It's been probably more good than bad to see this flush out. So look, I can't give you, unfortunately, and I won't be able to give you until this ETF position is finally released on Bitcoin. I can't give you any concrete predictions on Bitcoin. I can say what the reality is. The reality is that Bitcoin very much is in a ridiculously unsustainable upwards trend by all TA metrics. It very well should move down. I do believe that there will be a significant correction on Bitcoin before the halving. Probably starting with the next couple of months. I believe that if the peak is not in now, it is close. I believe 48k is a potential peak. And I believe, there will be a correction before the halving. I believe the next major support is down here at 38.5k. That will be a target during that correction. 48k is the next major resistance. Another target during the correction that we'll see before the halving will be this ascending RSI support line marked in yellow. Another target will be potentially down here at 32k. Unfortunately, I know you guys aren't going to be happy with this. I know it's annoying to hear, but concrete predictions right now are nothing more than gambling. You literally cannot make them with any degree of confidence, because when you have a narrative that is plaguing the Bitcoin charts in which a news article, a few paragraphs of information that are immediately refuted by many, many major hedge funds and companies can drop the price 10% in 2 hours, how are you meant to be expected to make contrary predictions? That's the reality. So Bitcoin's seen a collapse, okay? It's really highlighted the untrustworthiness of the mainstream media and even hedge funds themselves that are involved in this ETF decision and the SEC and things like that. So we just need to be waiting patiently and trusting the data. That's all we can do right now. Do not, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. Do not let your emotions fool you, right? Do not let your emotions fool you. You need to remain logical, okay? Just because you make a decision and buy Bitcoin or long Bitcoin, short Bitcoin, it works out perfectly at this period of the market cycle in this market narrative structure, it does not mean that you are a trading genius. Right now, the market is not being led, okay, by TA. TA is not in the forefront of this move, as I've said. The fundamental narrative of ETFs is. And the problem with that is that we cannot predict with any degree of precision what is going to happen with ETFs, whether it's going to be approved or denied, and more importantly, what the result of the decision will be, regardless of whether it's approved or denied. It's merely an unnavigatable time in the market structure. So what we can do is remain cautious, remain conservative, understand where we are in an unsustainable upwards trend, and we know for a fact that eventually the price will return to rational price action as per TA. We have to wait until that occurs. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Bingx and Bitget, these are both exchanges you can sign up to with my referral link. Both very low in trading fees. Both never been hacked before. Both have protection funds in case they are hacked. My referral link will give you a discount, a further discount in the very low trading fees already. Bingx is global non-KYC. Bitget is global KYC minus the USA. Take your pick. The referral links are down below. We have the VIP group on Telegram, trading altcoins sub-daily, giving you entry signals with targets and stop-loss requirements and stuff like that. Everything you need to trade altcoins there in the VIP group. You can check out the payment information and also the transparent trading results with 80.5% win rate down below in the description in the Telegram group. You'll join the information and results group with that link. That's free to join. You can check it all out there. And then we finally have the Crypto Academy Become a Trader 10-unit course, teaching people how to trade, teaching you everything you need to know about technical analysis and also fundamentals. What is a financial market? How does it work? What is Bitcoin? What are its uses? And then going into, for about 8 units for technical analysis factor of it. And then finally looking into market psychology, how to find trades, mindsets, and things like that. It's literally an all-rounder course, everything you need to know. And the email address is on the website there. Guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you tomorrow.